All right, joining me is a man who needs no introduction. I'll give you a brief one anyway. Of course, the striking coach and extraordinaire himself and Team Francis Ngannou and many other names as well. But we're here to talk about that. It's the one and only, the Black Cobra himself, Dewey Cooper. Hi, Dewey. How are you?
And thank you so much, Luke. I feel awesome. Thanks for the great introduction. And I'm so excited about being on your show for the second time. Shit,
Yeah.
man. Life is good for me right now. I'm on your show, second time in about 3 months, and I know why. Big
Yes.
news coming up this week. We're excited about it.
I want to get to that in just a second, but I will also tell you good news. If you, I had people reach out to me about our last conversation, and I think there were a lot of folks who felt in a similar way to me, which was, it's like, where has this guy been this whole time? Why haven't we been talking earlier? They really loved what you had to say, and I think felt great about your own achievements. So you came highly requested this time. That's why you're back.
Oh, thank you. And for the supporters who want to hear me again, I really appreciate you guys, man. This is awesome. I do this for the fighters, but it's good to talk to people like you. And since I'm a big fan of your show, I love hearing you guys debate. So I feel good. I'm really happy about being here again, man. You
All
guys
right.
rock.
All right, so let's talk about it. The news out this week, it's sometime around March. We don't know exactly what day it is as of this conversation, but Francis Ngannou is set to fight Anthony Joshua in a boxing contest. Okay, there's a lot to get to here. So let me start with this. What are you as a boxing coach and an eye for Francis in a way? What do you assess that you're up against with Anthony Joshua?
Well, first of all, Luke, there is a date. It's March 8th. It's going
Okay.
down for sure. March 8th.
All right.
We started out Riyadh season in Saudi Arabia versus Tyson Fury. We're going to close out Riyadh season in Saudi Arabia versus Anthony Joshua. This fight is a special fight to me because I've followed Anthony Joshua since he won the gold medal in the Olympics. I watched every fight I could see of Anthony Joshua, uh, his entire pro career. So I'm well versed when it comes to Anthony Joshua. The one thing that we have to look out for, there's several things, but if there were only one, it would be that powerful right hand, of course. He throws it to the body just to set up that headshot. He has a lot of power. He can put a guy's lights out with one punch. So it's going to be a hell of a fight. What's a better fight than two guys with one punch knockout power? Can't get any better.
It is indeed intriguing. But talk to me about Anthony Joshua's arc, right? So there was this guy who was this kind of surging predator and had this really amazing back and forth with Klitschko. And then I'm not sure if exactly he's been the same. And then if you double that with what happened after the Andy Ruiz loss, he seemed to get a lot more defensive. And then through that, he's changed trainers. He's got a little bit of Ben Davison, I think, now working in his corner after obviously previously going with Derek James. How do you feel like his style has changed as things around him have changed?
To be honest, I remember he was like 19-0 with 19 knockouts. I remember all of that. His style hasn't changed much. He's still kind of on the front foot. He likes to pop that jab, works off his jab, and he's very basic and sturdy. Keeps his hands in good position, and he just picks at you, and looks to land that big right hand, left hook. He's a very good fighter, fundamentally sound, strong, big, athletic, good footwork when he wants to. And he's going to be a real challenge because the Tyson Fury fight was about skill. It was about being cerebral because Tyson has so many different styles. He fights in 3-4 different styles. This fight is mano a mano, fire versus fire. Tyson Fury fight was water versus fire. Tyson was water. He could drown you. He could splash on you. He could crash on you. He could just wear you down. All these different things. Joshua brings the same tools that Francis brings. Of course, Joshua's pedigree is very high. He's an Olympic gold medalist, for crying out loud. But at the end of the day, he's going to try to bring the pressure, be on the front foot with that long jab that he throws well, and land his big right hand. And guess what? the predator Francis Ngannou is going to be doing the same thing. So it's going to be a cosmetically pleasing fight. It's going to come down to one thing: who lands that money shot first, who has the bigger heart, who has more intestinal fortitude to go through dark areas and continue fighting with passion and intent. And I feel that's where we're going to persevere. Francis Ngannou is going to beat him because he's going to just be stronger than him in all aspects.
There isn't much, or maybe there is, but I guess my thought would be there probably is not much to take from the Usyk fights, right? Which, not, again, Francis has earned an incredible opportunity here by how he performed so well against Tyson Fury. But in fairness to Usyk, he is a master tactician as well as a smaller guy. He's kind of obviously came up from cruiserweight. Do you take anything from that for Francis?
Yes, because Usyk is what? A southpaw. Usyk has success landing that left hand. Francis can do southpaw. So, Luke, honestly, every fight, whether it's a different style or not, you can take things from it. Did Usyk stun him with a left hand? A few times. I mean, there was good things that Usyk did that we can learn from. Of course, those aren't the fights we're focusing on and examining every inch of the most. His fight with Otto Wallen, Joshua looked incredible. Right. But guess what? I'm an intricate coach. I know real boxing. I'm not just some striking MMA coach. I got world championships as a boxing head coach. And one thing I can tell you, I feel the reason why Joshua looked so great was the feeling of being comfortable. He fought Otto Wallen in the amateurs. He's used Otto Wallen as a sparring partner in previous camps. So he had a feeling of comfortability when he fought him. And you can see it in the fight. He wasn't worried at all. There was no stress, just expressed when it came to Otto Wallen. And that's why he looked so great, strong, and confident. I've seen Joshua get a little defensive. I've seen him do against Usyk. He's the bigger, stronger guy. Go hunt him. Go take him out. He tried to outbox an expert boxer. It wasn't smart. So anyway, that's why he looks so fantastic against Otto Wallen, because he knows the guy. You know what I mean? Francis Ngannou, he doesn't know. He hasn't felt the power on several occasions, and he's not comfortable with the Predator, ex-UFC champion, swinging those mighty shots at him. And so I want to see if he keeps the same energy that he did against Otto Wallen. If he does, it's going to be an incredible fight because he came forward, he threw power punches on Otto Wallen. If he does that with Francis Ngannou, we're going to get a classic heavyweight battle.
For as long as it lasts anyway, right?
Yes.
Speaking of which, I'm just going to ask this plainly, and you answer it however you feel best deserves to answer it.
Yes.
Compare the chins between Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou, if you can.
Well, let's hope Joshua's chin is worse. You know what I mean? They're both powerful guys. One thing I'm not going to do is discount the strength and the punching power of Anthony Joshua. It's real. It's much more than Tyson Fury's, I can tell you that. So, though I know what you're getting to, you're alluding to the way Francis took Tyson's power. This is something we don't want to do in this fight, because he's hitting harder than Tyson. That's the bottom line. So, in a perfect world, we would say Francis has a better chin. But me as a coach, we don't want to rely on chin. I want Francis to have sharp defense and defend against those power shots that Joshua are going to throw, because I'm smart enough to know Joshua can knock anyone out. And we already know Francis definitely can. And that's the intrigue of this fight. Someone's probably going to go, and that's going to be Anthony Joshua.
So how do you thread the needle between having a style where you're making, or even a strategy, where you're making Joshua uncomfortable, but at the same time, you're not accepting additional risk for the kinds of punishment that Joshua can deliver? You're staying safer than you would necessarily if you're fighting a guy like Tyson Fury. Or it sort of sounded like you were trying to do that. Is that an accurate reading of like the task at hand?
Well, no. Being safer is simply it's a simple thing to acknowledge the danger that a guy possesses. In a fight, we're not going to be out there scared to engage. You don't win that way. We're coming to engage. But if you know a man has the power to do damage, then you'll keep your positioning better. You won't be squaring up with your shoulders as you enter with your jab. You'll stay fundamentally sound. And these are the things we have to do. That's not giving away the game plan. We have to be sharp. And that's what we plan on Francis being. And at some point, the shots will start landing. I feel that once they start landing, for Francis, it's going to be big trouble for Anthony Joshua. The Francis Ngannou of the 8th round against Tyson Fury will beat any of these guys. That Francis Ngannou.
How will camp, or to what extent will camp be different this time around in terms of both your strategizing, implementing all of the factors that go into getting him ready, given that this is his second go round, not his first? It's not as new a process anymore.
Yes. Well, one thing for sure, there's a level of certainty. I was certain Francis could win the fight. I got receipts. I told everyone what was going to happen. I told everyone that he'd go past 4 rounds. He would have the ability to go 10. But in my mind, that was the only 1% doubt was like, can he go a good 10? You know what I mean? And Luke, we talked about the last time you interviewed me. A guy, it's kind of unfair for a man, his first fight, having to do 10 rounds against the best heavyweight in the world. It's just kind of unfair. But he succeeded in doing that. And now he has a certain knowledge that I can't give him. No one can give him. So he knows he can do it now. Now it's about putting together the energy to muster up more action, more power, more punches, more domination. And that's going to be the focus this camp. We're coming to do much better than what we did last time in every aspect. And it's easy to say because he's going to be improved from the experiences he had last fight. And last thing, Tyson is a very skilled fighter. Imagine the energy, the mental energy and focus and downloading of information you're doing real time. So much. Most guys overload. That's why Tyson Fury knocked out his last few opponents before Francis Ngannou. One thing about Anthony Joshua, he's not as complex as a puzzle when you look at it from a downloading information perspective. Joshua's coming to pop you with that jab up and down, stay sharp, throw power shots. And if you give him an opening, he's going to take it, especially with that right hand or his left hook. It's the more simpler mind power thing, if you know what I mean. It's going to be a simpler way to download what's going on. The problem is, I think Joshua is more effective with the techniques he employed, and it has more power. So there's an element of danger, but it's not as complex the puzzle to solve. And that's why I'm excited about this fight. It's going to come down to 2 strong Herculean dudes, both of African descent, battling it out. And man, I feel like the edge is going to go to us with the power, the determination, and the mind state of Francis Ngannou.
I want to go back to Francis in a second, but last thing on Joshua, is there, in your eye, can you detect differences between pre and, I guess he's still with Derek James, but like pre and then post Derek James, or any kind of new training wrinkle? Are you able to watch and be like, I can see the influence of this, or is it largely imperceptible?
If you watch early Joshua, he was awesome, like the last Joshua against Otto Wallen. And he's been through 3 different coaches now. So I don't really know if you could say there's a major difference from Derek to Ben Davey and to his original coaches. He was an Olympic gold medalist, guys. He has pedigree. I mean, that Olympics, he dominated the competition, you know. So Joshua is talented. He had, a downward year or whatever, getting caught by Ruiz and then getting beat by Usyk and all of that. So people kind of discredited him. 2023, he's on a 3-fight win streak, stopped all of his opponents, and he's looking good. But what I see him just being skilled and sharp and having a little more confidence in his abilities like he once had before the Ruiz fight. And remember, Luke, that means he's a dangerous guy. Indecisiveness really can take a large percentage of a fighter's ability. Once you're indecisive, you're not pulling the trigger as fast. You're not willing to step in there and exchange. You're not willing to take yourself in those dangerous situations. I feel over the last year anyway, he's willing to do that. So he's going to be in top form. And Francis, only his second fight, fighting a guy, a gold medalist, two-time champion, is crazy to think about. But this is one night I just know Francis is going to take, and the whole world's going to freak out and say, wow, maybe Tyson Fury wasn't overlooking Francis. The real thing happened in the Tyson Fury fight, and the real thing's about to happen on March 8th. Francis Ngannou is going to persevere again, man. I'm telling you.
Man, listen, I'm not in any position to doubt anymore. My days of doubting are done. I will ask this though. I don't know if you noticed this when some of the news began to trickle out. I went to see what people inside boxing were saying, and I will say, from what I could tell, there was a lot less, significantly less resistance to the idea of Francis fighting a big name. Now, again, there's no title on the line, so that kind of simplifies it. But there was a lot more boxing people ready to accept the legitimacy, or at least the presence of this fight, than I really thought possible. Did you notice a similar kind of change?
Yeah, I noticed that, but now people are starting to say this and that. They're trying to discredit Francis's performance by saying Tyson Fury took him lightly. Now there's a library on Francis boxing. Joshua's going to look at it, study it, and he won't be caught by the element of surprise like Tyson Fury, and he's going to dominate him and show that was two things: the element of surprise of Francis and the overlooking of Tyson Fury. People got to look at it this way. Francis had his first fight, and whatever you've seen of Francis, that fight, just from the sheer experience of fighting 30 minutes in a boxing fight against the best heavyweight in the world, Francis has grown as well. So if anyone's learning curve should be more improved, it should be Francis's learning curve, because we've seen Joshua, 24, 25 times already as a pro boxer. So those are the little probabilities that they forget about. If anyone's going to be more improved, it's going to be Francis Ngannou. And that spells a bad night for Anthony Joshua.
Has Francis at all had a conversation with you since the big event against Tyson Fury, where he thought about like what went right, what went wrong, what he was happy with, what he wanted to work on? Did he have that conversation with you?
Yeah, absolutely. We had that conversation for sure. And it wasn't many things, but just like any hungry man who believes in himself, who's willing to put his whole career on the line, like he did with UFC, he definitely wants to do better and show a better body of work. But at the end of the day, he was happy with what he did. He even said, though, man, next fight, I'm going to be much better. And when a fighter feels that way, he will. And we're going to work hard. We're going to have the proper sparring there for him to help assist in that manner. And I'm telling you right now, man, it's going to be fireworks. Fire versus fire in this fight. It's going to be crazy. The flaming fist will be flying for sure.
How much more surprised could the boxing, and frankly, in their defense, the MMA world too, how much more surprised could we be? And I'm being serious. Like if he goes in there, I'm trying to process what it would even mean for Francis to go in there. Not that I'm doubting, but like once should it become reality, there's still actually more that could be done in terms of shaking the foundation of these two sports. No?
Yes, absolutely. Think about this. Your second pro boxing fight, you're fighting two out of the three best heavyweights in all of the world, reigning world champions, Olympic gold medalists, undefeated champions. in two fights, 2 out of 3 best guys. This is unprecedented. It's never been done before. It's not going to be done again. But see, Francis is different. His whole story is different, as we all know. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. Never doubt an athletic, strong man with a strong mind. Never doubt a guy who's been told no his entire life and keeps turning those no's into yeses. That's what Francis does, man. He wants this opportunity. He wanted to fight all these guys before he even fought Tyson Fury. So it's going to happen. And think about this also. He beats Anthony Joshua. What if Tyson Fury beats Usyk? A rematch with Tyson Fury in October for all the belts, all the undisputed belts in boxing. A man with 3 fights can potentially be undisputed champion by the end of 2024. Insane. And by the way, last thing, Luke. Remember, I was in the ring after the fight, after the Tyson Fury fight. I was the first person that broke the news about Marcelo Suleiman telling Francis that he was going to rate him in the top 10 of the WBC. I actually videoed on the same phone that I'm talking to you on the Zoom call. I videoed that conversation. I still have it here in my phone. If he was able to impress Suleiman like this, the boxing public definitely should take him seriously, because Suleiman didn't give him a top 10 rating for no reason, because he felt like being a generous man that day. He's seen something in Francis that I've known for a long time, but very few people have inside them. And it's going to be on display March 8th.
You have certainly got me amped for it in a way that I mean, I was excited before this conversation, but I'm actually very excited for it now. I do have one final question here, and I appreciate your time, which is, I don't know what Francis's future is beyond this fight. There is some talk by Francis himself that there could be a return to MMA this year. Let me ask you, as a coach, what particular challenges do you face in trying to help him go down this path of taking these very difficult boxing challenges? And then should he decide to resume high-level MMA training, you now have to switch gears. How much does this much time spent boxing impact his MMA striking? Does it change it? Does it make it better? Does it slightly make it worse? What are all the factors you have to deal with in order to get from here to there?
Well, I'll answer it simply. My philosophy, first of all, at the end of the day, guys, man, I know it's 2 different sports, and there's definitely nuances in both sports. But at the end of the day, a fight is a fight is a fight at the end of the day. Because whether it's boxing, when you step in that ring and you start the fight, you make no excuses for your shortcomings. They're going to show right there real time. If you're in the cage doing mixed martial arts, you're going to show your shortcomings. They're going to show at that moment, real live time. It's easy for me. I've got so many, I got 25 boxing fights, damn near 100 kickboxing fights. I fought MMA in the cage 3 times. A fight's a fight. Francis has the right guys that can help him apply whatever needs to be done at that moment. But the one good thing about boxing, guys, the boxers do a lot of road work. They do a lot of things MMA guys still don't want to do. We run every day. We jump rope. We do a lot of cardio because it's so anaerobic. I think it'll help him in his MMA. The pace of the fight is faster in boxing. I've done all 3 professionally. The pace in a boxing fight is the fastest. MMA takes more strength and more things coming at you and all of that. But if you can do boxing, especially since Francis is an MMA fighter first, you can definitely go back to MMA. As long as he has enough time after this boxing fight to implement a real camp for mixed martial arts. It's probably better for Francis anyway. His knee has had a lot of time to really get strong. Mm-hmm. He's done a lot of road work, a lot of jumping rope, a lot of conditioning. So his agility, his movement, all of that is back. And when you get a guy like Francis Ngannou with sharpened boxing skills in a mixed martial arts cage, man, with the 4 ounces on, it's like 50 cal slugs coming at you, man. You land one, he's going home. So he told me himself he planned on doing them both this year. I support that, because to me, I don't care who he wants to fight, what style he wants to do. Once he signed that contract, myself, Eric, Tripp, the rest of the team are going to have him prepared for that endeavor, man. He's an MMA fighter who's boxing, who has the potential to be a boxing champion this year and then take it back to MMA and smash whomever they put him against in there. If anyone can do it, though it sounds improbable, Francis Ngannou can make it impossible. That's all I got to say, Luke.
All right, I lied. I do have one more because of something you said. You said MMA guys don't like to do some of these certain things like road work and whatnot. What do you tell me more about that? Is there MMA fighters don't want to do strength and conditioning? Is it that simple, or is there something more to the story?
No. Oh, they love strength and conditioning. And remember, I'm not talking about all MMA guys, so MMA world don't jump on me. But I've been training MMA fighters since the early 2000s. I was one of Phil Baroni's coaches way back. I've coached Jay Haran and all these type of guys. A lot of MMA guys don't like to do road work every day. In boxing, it's religion. You're running 5 to 6 days a week, never less than 5 days a week. It's religion, man. You run all the time. MMA guys may run twice a week. A lot of them don't like running a lot. Guys, road work gets you where you're not going to get tired in the fight for sure. So I'm just saying the nuances that guys don't like to do, and you know, going from a boxing fight to doing MMA, once you grapple and get used to the rigors of the strength and unlocking your strength, the muscle fatigue, your endurance will be up more. Whenever Francis goes back to MMA, he'll have more endurance. Getting tired won't ever happen again for sure, because of the way he's transitioned his training from boxing, from MMA to boxing. His tank will be strong in an MMA fight for sure. Like I said, as long as we have enough time to get the grappling work you need, 12 weeks, something like that, forget about it. He's ready to do MMA for sure.
There you have it, folks. I don't know what's next beyond Anthony Joshua. We'll be watching, but as you indicated, March 8th, Francis Ngannou taking on Anthony Joshua. Cannot wait to see what's going to happen for as long as it lasts, and I know you're going to be there. Dewey Cooper, always appreciate your insight. Always appreciate your time. I'd love to get you back on soon.
Thank you very much. March 8th, please support the fight. Please order, please watch it. It's going to be electric.